Thank you, Al. Everybody can hear me okay. I want to start off by thanking the community for showing up and being interested in hearing everything that you're going to see today. My wife and I are relatively new to the area. We moved here about 5 years ago, and about 2 years ago, got very involved with the White Lake Association. So I am now, my name is Jim Boer, I'm the Chief Science Officer for the White Lake Association. So a lot of the monitoring that Al was talking about, we do every other week on White Lake, going out and gathering from 2 different sites. I'm not a limnologist, I have an engineering background, so it's been very helpful for me to be able to talk to Al, other folks that have been doing this for a long time, gathering what I can and trying to do what I can to help. So I have the pleasure today of sharing an exciting new addition to what we're doing at a testing level for water quality. You've heard that it's absolutely critical. We're in a good state right now since 2014, but we got to stay on top of it. So a lot of you are probably familiar with the delisting report. It's a very extensive report. It goes through all the BUIs that were resolved by 2014 to be delisted. I bring this up only as for 2 things. One, I think Al was measuring some of the threshold levels that we had to get to clear and delist White Lake. So these numbers that you see in the box on the top are the ones that we still pay attention to every time we're going on testing and gathering data over the course of every summer. The other piece that really struck me and really made it personal for me, so I saw a point where I could really jump in and help with the White Lake Association, was the testing that has been going on, obviously well before me, gathering that data, and how it is the responsibility of the White Lake Association to continue this work and work with the Michigan Clean Water Corps.
Jim, why don't you state the targets? Because I don't think anybody can read
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Al. So up here at the top, so these were the levels that we had to clear or fall below to be delisted in 2014. So total phosphorus, 30 micrograms per liter. Chlorophyll A was 10 micrograms per liter. Secchi disc depth, so this is a measure of clarity. How deep you can see the disc in the water is 2 meters. So, around 7 feet, between 6 and 7 feet. And then trophic status index between 50 and 55. So that's a measure of, if you've heard of eutrophic lakes or mesotrophic lakes. Obviously a healthy lake really is somewhere you don't want to have zero growth and perfectly clear water. And on the other hand, you don't want to have just dramatic, algae everywhere, a ton of growth. So you want to be in that sweet spot, and that sweet spot here is kind of represented by that 50 to 55 in the trophic index. So as mentioned before, we had an opportunity to apply for a grant through the Eagle Watershed Non-Point Source Pollution Program about this time last year. Submitted a proposal at the time. I believe there were 60 proposals that went in. We were one of 20 that were selected, and we ended up receiving we did receive a $40,000 grant to fabricate and install on White Lake what we're calling a smart buoy. So you heard Al mention an observational buoy, very similar to the Muskegon Lake buoy. And obviously I'm going to be going through this fairly quickly, so I should have pointed out my email address at the beginning. I could talk for hours about all this, as you can probably tell, and I'd be happy to share more information with folks. So I'm just going to hit at a top level what this means and what we're doing here. So the contract officially started. It took a while to get on contract. It officially started about 2 months ago, and it's scheduled to run through December of 2025. The picture that you can see, and I apologize, a little bit small, so it should look similar to what you saw before with Al's picture. These 2 points here that I'm calling out, Long Point and Dowie's Point, are 2 collection areas that not only did Al collect information at, but we very regularly collect information at every summer. The other 2 areas that Al had collected at were here near the channel and at the river mouth. The proposed or currently planned site for this smart buoy is in there are 2 deepest parts of the lake. One where you can kind of see here, it's roughly on a line in between these the Long Point and Dowie's Point. The other one is somewhere out here closer to the channel area. about the same depth, but it's further out into the lake. So from a, trying to avoid obviously collisions with boats, interference with traffic on the lake, this we've deemed as a better of the two, because it was very encouraged by Eagle as well to pick the deepest point in the lake. The two areas that we collect here from are at 50 feet, which is great. That's a good depth to collect information at. But obviously down at 70 feet, we can get an even better measurement all the way down there of the level of dissolved oxygen that we have. Fondriest Environmental is the company that's building the buoy right now. They actually just started work on that about a week ago. As mentioned, at 70 feet, the buoy is going to be placed, moored. But that's the semi-permanent location for the buoy. We will have the ability to move it around if so desired. As if there are trouble spots on the lake, we can move it to an area to focus on a little bit more. A lot of the information that we're gathering here is similar. It's a subset of what Al had mentioned. It is on the Muskegon Lake buoy, but a lot of the most important parameters are here. Temperature every 5 feet down to the bottom from the surface, dissolved oxygen at the surface and the bottom, and then a parameter called total algae, which is really a combination of chlorophyll and phycocyanin. So if you hear about harmful algae blooms, this is a good indicator that you're maybe approaching something that you might want to do something about. So Al mentioned warning signs of, not necessarily a problem yet sometimes, but if you can see an increase, and because of the rate that we have with this buoy, every 30 minutes we're getting wirelessly transmitted information on all of these parameters. And all of the information is going to be publicly accessible. We'll have a link on the White Lake Association website. You can access this information anytime. It'll also be important to reach out to the community in terms of, from an educational standpoint, K through 12, researchers that are interested in the data, and just anyone in the public that wants to see this information. Just real quick, this is roughly what our buoy is going to look like. It's about 2.5 feet above the water and about 2.5 feet diameter, weighs about 70 pounds. We intentionally picked a relatively lightweight buoy, small, so that we can, with 1 or 2 people, put it in and take it out at the end of the season and move it around as needed. It'll have marine light that flashes at night. I can't remember the exact frequency, but meeting the requirements of the Coast Guard to have this. I have to go through and provide the exact location of the buoy to the Coast Guard to get approval in the spring when it will be going in. So this, the buoy has a modular design in the sense that not all of the, you can think of it almost like a computer, has extra slots that you can put capability into. We really tried to get the best bang for the buck with this $40,000. Turns out these guys are pretty expensive, not only the buoy itself, but the sensors. So we really tried to pick the best collection. But the nice thing about this design is we have room for expansion in the future as more funding gets available. If we identify certain parameters that we want to take a look at, we'll have the flexibility to do that. So I just listed, and I know folks probably can't read these, there's just a few potential sensors when I talk about like extra things that we don't currently have in the baseline plan that we could add, things like conductivity, turbidity, potentially oil fuel level sensors to have an idea of marine exhaust products in the lake, and then also potentially down the road PFOS, PFOS testing. This something that's very difficult to test for, very expensive, but again, the ability to have this modular approach in the future, should those sensors become available, we can use them. The top side of the buoy has a weather station, so it's going to be gathering temperature, humidity, wind, speed, and direction. Another potential future expansion here is you can get wave state or sea state from the accelerometer information that's on the buoy. One thing that I'm really excited about too is you can see maybe a very small dashboard here of real-time information. So when you pull up this website and you want to take a look at the real-time values, we have what is referred to as an advanced package. So again, everyone can access at any time, basic information, tables, graphs, etc. There is an ability to go to this full public portal capability in the future, should we want, with additional calculated parameters. So I'm going to leave it with this, where we have a whiteboard in the back. I'm not sure how the logistics will work, over the course of the rest of the presentation or afterwards. If you can collect any thoughts, ideas, always open to the community on things you like, you don't want to see here, that you think would be a good thing to add to the buoy or what we do as an association. I believe we have sign-up sheets for folks that are maybe not currently members of the White Lake Association that might want to become members and get a lot more information on this buoy and a lot of other things that we do in the association. But yeah, any other ideas, invasive species monitoring or score the shore, etc. So with that, I think that's all I have. So thank you, everybody.